welcome to the Overlap Rugby podcast. I'm Shane, that's Daragh.
Hello.
This is episode number 66.
It is
and
indeed.
It's also our very last pre-tournament podcast before the World Cup kicks off.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man. What a world.
As we said last week, giddy excited, and that's
Yeah.
only getting elevated. As we shoot this, it's Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah.
We have a few games to preview. Basically, the outline for the show today is we're going to take a more specific look at the first round games. So they start on Friday and run, I think, to Tuesday next week.
Right.
There are a few doozies in there as well. So we're gonna.
Yeah, it's we're previewing all of these games. We are going to try and live stream some of the games.
Mm-hmm.
We have the sort of tech capacity, I think, to do it. But we just need to find the time. We're not be able to do Friday's opener, unfortunately. But maybe one of the Saturday or Sunday games would be nice to do. Obviously, Ireland would be interesting.
Definitely.
Tell us which games you'd like to see us do that, and we may find time to do some of them, and also perhaps some non-podcast videos that are just recorded after games, depending on the kind of time we get. It is going to be a very hectic time. I mean, there's literally a game, I believe, every single day next week.
Yeah.
Friday is the first day. Next Friday is the first day that there isn't going to be a World Cup match once it gets underway.
Yeah.
Very, very exciting, obviously. And if you want to go on the journey with us, it's please by all means subscribe, and comments are great as well. I'm very much enjoying getting good chat going in our comment sections of late.
Exactly. So
please do feel free to chime in.
And support your team in the context of your comments as well.
Yes,
we love having ones from all far afield, and now that the World Cup's here, we have some really interesting matchups that you don't normally see in the calendar year. So there's exciting games, and we'd love to hear your thoughts on them as well.
100%.
Yeah, but as you say, we're going to be trying to double down on content for the next few weeks because we've been doing this podcast long enough, and we're grateful to all our subs for coming along with us. And
we could be about to hit, before we upload again, 500 subs. We're lingering around that thing, and that's a good milestone for us as well. So thanks to everyone who has subscribed.
Yeah.
And get on board to get us over that.
Exactly. Yeah, and in the meantime, we'll have our last little pre-World Cup look. Before all the picture changes and we have much more information to go on. So. Yeah, but we'll crack on. We're going to go in chronological order through these games.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
It starts with the tournament opener, which is Friday, 11:45 a.m.
Our time.
So
that's UK and Ireland relevant.
Yeah, obviously that's 8 hours ahead in Japan. But it's Japan and Russia. The tournament hosts and Russia in there.
Well, indeed.
Yes.
Tokyo Stadium in Tokyo, to be refereed by the great Nigel Owens.
Yeah, which is a nice touch, I think, as well.
Yeah, it's very good. It's a curious one for Japan. I think momentum is massive in a tournament like this, and they want to stake their claim as a big side.
Yeah.
It's important that they don't struggle.
Yeah.
Because the confidence that they have it is brittle in a sense. Like they aren't quite sure. Same as any of us, they aren't quite sure how they stack up against Tier 1.
Yeah.
It's a curious dynamic. Obviously, getting blown away by South Africa doesn't really help them in that regard. They know they're not on South Africa's level, but there is there's room in behind South Africa to tuck into Tier 1, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's important for them that they'll have a better chance if they feel more confident.
Yes.
And it's important for their confidence that they put Russia aside as a Tier 1 side would.
Yeah.
So lots of tries. They love to keep the pace of the game up. They should shock Russia with their pace.
Yeah.
Get those wingers into the game.
Get Tamora's hands on the ball. Hands warm.
Ball free as well.
Yeah.
Don't give Russia a chance to set. No rucks. We're keeping it going, keeping that fast pace. We have actually some big forwards. They're a bit soft on defence. Running those hard lines as well, getting through them and then getting offloads, getting really, really quick turnover around the contact zone and then away again, and Russia's defence should struggle to cope with that.
Well, we've seen it with Russia the last few weeks. We've seen a brittleness especially with pacey teams. Both Connacht and the Jersey Reds did bring a bit of pace, and Italy actually but we're putting some things together which will be important for their chances as well. A bit of confidence, but Russia seem, as we said in our kind of big World Cup show last week, Russia are really one of the ones there to make up the numbers, take part more than take over. And Japan, for them, it's a good bit of scheduling. I remember, initially, I think it was meant to be Ireland on week 1, and then they flipped that around. And
I don't even know how that worked, but yes, I was initially drawn that Ireland would play them, and I guess the powers that be decided that they didn't want Japan. Yeah, losing that was back when Ireland were looking so good, and Japan, you just weren't sure.
It's true, but also, like you're saying, momentum is a very important thing, and it's their home tournament, and they want to get off to a flyer. And Russia is a team they should be looking to put to bed, judging by all their performances in the PNC this year, which we're against opposition of a calibre probably higher than Russia as well, just looking at all the evidence.
It's also just important for their fans, for the game to sort of take hold and there to be a bit of a feel-good factor around there. They're going to need that early big win. I'm curious to see, because it's the biggest occasion. It'll these equations will start stacking up for everybody, tier 1 and tier 2, because it's the biggest occasion a lot of these guys playing in this tournament will have ever faced on a rugby pitch.
For sure.
So it's obviously a curious picture to see whether the Japanese boys get to them at all, if there are some loose plays and some knock-ons. If Russia can hold the ball for any length of time and frustrate them. Those are the kind of pictures that Russia will be hoping to see, that will maybe suck what will be a buoyant World Cup atmosphere out of the stadium and make it entirely more nervy and
potentially. That's where Japan will be looking for their captain, the likes of Michael Leach in the pack, to be stepping up with some big plays either side of the ball.
They could rotate their squad as well. They've got Ireland coming in next week. I mean, you could see a more experimental Japan side. I expect you will see Yutamura. Probably Matsushima, but maybe Fukuoka with that injury will take the step back.
Perhaps, he was nursing something.
I would expect maybe a few changes here and there, especially with the older guys like Leach and Thompson
Thompson especially. They'll be looking to him to do a bit of a big shift against Ireland, which will be a bit much more challenging test. But it'll be about who they want in and out, and they do have enough players in their squad, and they will want to rotate a bit. But they're right. They do still have a few key men they want to lean on, and like you're saying, I think they'll rest one or two, but I think by and large they'll want most of them in there just to make sure that there's no stifling, there's no stumbling, there's no Artemiev getting his hands on the ball and making an early try happen for Russia, or so Russia can get some plays off. They do try and play an expansive game, and if Japan are that stuttery or a bit shook from confidence from that Springbok performance or a bit soft, then maybe Russia could just stifle them enough to annoy the crowd, or just take the fizz out of the stadium.
That's the intrigue for sure. And I think either way, ultimately, we think Japan
will win. Yes. They're a stronger side.
And could use a bonus point.
They could use a bonus. That's one of the learnings that you'll want to see from them. And over the 4 years, they were the only team ever to win 3 games and not qualify. So I'd imagine if they get a bit of momentum day one against Russia, big home crowd, they'll be looking to score some tries.
Absolutely, absolutely. Should be a fun game to watch. Fun tournament over.
I'm curious about the opening ceremony as well. All that, I'll be tuning in early. I'm going to see what the pageantry is like, because already it's been great. We've had 15,000 fans turning up to Wales trainings, and we've had Springboks welcomed by a load of fans and fan zones, and it just looks exciting there. So I'm excited for game 1, even if it is a blowout for Japan. I'll be watching.
Totally. On Saturday, the following morning, we have an incredible triple header of 3 just huge games, which we've been sort of bigging up for a while now. The first of which is 5:45, 5:45 a.m. Irish time, and obviously UK and Irish time. That's going to be in the Sapporo Dome, and it is between Australia and Fiji.
A wonderful game. Pacific clash in lovely weather, hopefully, and these two teams know how to play and put on a show.
And we talk about tournament momentum. This one is huge. For both, again, a lot of these games between good sides in this opening weekend are massive. I mean, Fiji are not going to want to see their confidence rocked. The equation changes for Australia immediately if they struggle or lose this game. It's going to be refereed by Ben O'Keefe, Kiwi man, and it's from Fiji's point of view, it's massive, obviously, but it's like have Fiji reached the heights of their season opener against the Maori since then?
Probably not. Probably not. Or that game against France last year in December, where the defence was at their peak, but that's not necessarily a bad thing coming into a pool like this.
Focus they want
to Fiji at World Cups. All these teams at World Cups, I'm expecting to up their game from where they were in the previous tournament, or in the Northern Hemisphere cases, the warm up games. You're going to look for a boost in intensity.
You're going to want to see Fiji's best side. I think you're going to want to see.
They can't pull any punches against Australia.
Their foreign players they're going to be looking to, like Kunatani at 7 has been magnificent. You want to see Bodie and Radradra in that centre partnership. And then you'd be hopeful that players who have big reputations like Matas and Nakarawas and even Tuisovas will step up and get to the very, very best level that we know they can play.
Big test for Ben Volavola and whoever slots in at scrum half. We suspect Lomani, but they have 3 good scrummies as well. But I think there's a bit of scrutiny on Ben Volavola in this game. I think especially because it'll be important that they direct themselves into the right places and play themselves into the game.
Just that he gives the right guys the ball at the right moments. Like there's a big difference between Daragh getting the ball with someone in his face and on the outside shoulder of someone. And that's what you want to see Vola doing. At times it's going to be about going back on the inside. At times it's going to be about just giving it to Bodia for a hit up and then get some quick ruck ball. And he's got to make those reads.
Game there. We saw with the Kiwis against in Bledisloe too. We saw a bit of unsteadiness from Beale at fullback and a bit of just like the combinations are relatively new in that Aussie backline. So it'll be a good test for his just management of a game overall to try and pull them around and play his dangerous weapons into the game. Because you need that. Fiji need to link up. And sometimes when they're at their best, it can look like it's not even about the 10 because they're just attacking the space wherever it may be. But,
that's it.
But even when that seems to be the case, you'll need Vola stepping up and playing.
They need to move the ball around. They need to attack space. At their best, they have a squad that is as talented, perhaps more talented than any other side. The raw skill of these guys is huge. Physicality of these guys is huge. They'll be determined, I think, to put in that big defensive showing as well.
And set piece. They've obviously, it's not in their DNA as much. They're more like they come from a world of sevens and offloads. But under McKenna, they have been working as scrum, as trying to get solidity at scrum time, and for the most part being successful. Samoa got the nudge on against them in the PNC, I recall a little, which will concern them because while they've been improving scrum time, the Aussies have also been steadily improving, even though it's in challenge. A tournament where they're up against the Box and like the All Blacks, and it's the top level. So for Fiji, they've definitely improved in that area, but will they be able to step up and match the Aussie set piece?
It's a huge question for them. I mean, they're one of the great exciting teams. It's got the potential to be a really exciting match. But for Fiji to really have a chance, I think they do have to answer these questions like can Bella Vola step up and play at this level? Can Fiji withstand that Aussie scrum, which is obviously massive as well? And can Fiji contain what will be a very potent Aussie breakdown force of Michael Hooper and David Pocock?
The old Hooper combo. They can gather a lot of ball.
Indeed, and that'll shut them down. Like then they won't get as much clean possession. That could be a killer. And then finally, just will they be shocked by the accuracy of the Wallabies' great attack, as was the picture painted by Japan in the PNC opener at the start of the season.
Australia will definitely, if all things going their way, they'll want to be similarly fast and wide against the Fiji side and try and move them around and get their hands warm. They'll in the first 10 minutes, if Australia get a bit of ball and hold it, they'll want to get every single one of their 15 to get a touch early doors and then just start to play a bit of rugby.
They have wonderfully disguised offensive plays, especially off set piece. They love to bring their wingers in off blind side.
Czech has always been very, very good in that area.
He loves to bring guys in from the blind side of a ruck, and that's actually something that will catch Fiji because Fiji do number up quite well and they get out of the line. But Australia will bring in players from blind side at the far side of the ruck who run out to the open side and play off either 10 or 12. And that's the kind of play that it was that strike try against Argentina in the Rugby Championship.
It worked against England 4 years ago in the World Cup in Madrid with their inside ball with Beale.
Exactly. And they'll be looking to get maybe Kiribati or Beale into those holes. And it's the question is whether Fiji can shut that down. If they can answer all those questions, I do think Fiji have a chance here. Offensively, they're as good as anybody. They have loads of tries in them, and tries can win rugby matches. That's the deal for Fiji.
But this is what's great about this game. Both sides have a tradition of knowing exactly where a try is and going for one. Like they're two of the world's great attacking sides in rugby, but slightly different styles. And like Australia, the Wallabies now have tidied a lot up in only the matter of the last 2 months, really. In terms of finalising who their guys are. And just, I wonder if they'll want to rotate a little, but they cannot overlook Fiji, obviously, and they won't. And they know that, to be honest. They know them well.
The Wallabies tend not to rotate. They tend to just go with their guys.
They do,
and stick with them for a tournament. And I think they will do that. I think you will see the full Australia team. Their biggest men you could very easily see this being a game about the Wallaby forwards. Their attack could shock Fiji either. They could go the Japan route. But I think from their perspective that they'll be quietly confident of their ability to bully Fiji up front, because even the likes of, we've seen things go both right and wrong for the likes of Rory Arnold and Isaac Rodda in recent times, but generally speaking, when they're not up against the elite of the elite, they do look very good.
That's true, and
that's the kind of thing they'll be looking to do. Fiji is just win those contacts, pick them off at the line out, bully them at the scrum, starve them of possession, and then play with pace when they have the ball. And that could be just a combination that is way too much for Fiji to handle.
Well, we've seen all through the Rugby Championship, even in the last few years, where they've been struggling to cope with both Springboks and All Blacks especially.
Yeah.
They've always Checkers Wallabies have always been pretty tidy at putting the Argentinians to bed, but more often than not, and that's a similar attacking threat, very dangerous, fast team. But they're wily and they defend it well, and they do make their tackles, and those tend to be the games where those locks actually remind you that it's like, oh yeah, they're big boys and they can get around. It's only when it breaks up and they end up having to defend in wide channels against so much space, and there's All Blacks running everywhere.
Not to mention, like they're usually big physical enforcers, and then Evan Etzebeth physically bullies them, which just changes a man. A man like that who likes to dominate, likes to be the biggest guy in the field, gets smashed by an Evan Etzebeth, and then everything is different.
Yes, that's very true. And I don't think Fiji have that Etzebeth play in them. Now, they have different threats, and they will try and shut them down. But overall, I think. Yeah, there's more avenues for success for the Wallabies than Fiji. There's definitely a chance.
There's definitely a chance. Like if Fiji can get Mata and Nakarawa in those wide channels, mismatches with those guys, getting their hands free, running off one another, that's a dream picture.
Yeah.
They would need to answer the Wallabies to the sort of questions. Can they stun Fiji? Can they get their sharp offense going? Can they starve Fiji of possession? Can they dominate those physical areas?
Yeah.
And then a big question: how will they cope when Fiji do have the ball? Will Fiji be able to cut loose on them and get tries?
James O'Connor's still relatively new in the 13 shirt. Radradra is not. You know, if they can get that matchup going.
Radradra is a tough matchup for any 13.
Yeah. True. Yeah. Like, so there's avenues, but. That'll be
good
questions though. That's what you want to see answered, and you'll see clues in the first 20 minutes as to how that'll go. And by the end, I suspect Australia will just about get it done. But I do expect tries too, because Australia haven't been foolproof on defence either. They've had great performances for most of the games, and then been caught out once or twice. Even
not to mention they give up the odd offensive try. Like when they're on the ball, they throw the odd loose pass, and Fiji are great for gobbling a score.
Really good instincts for that.
Both of these sides, like this is why a hammering, like certainly a pure hammering, is probably unlikely. Because both of these sides do, even when momentum is completely against them, just grab out of the blue tries.
Yes.
It's something that both sides love to do. So even if Australia, I think, is the most likely outcome, get a head of steam up on Fiji and play sharper, better rugby and start to open up a lead, you would expect the odd try or two come back from Fiji. So even if Australia do blow them away, it'll be something more similar to like 42-28 than your 30-0 hammerings.
I would suspect so, and that's just that's just fodder for entertainment, and that's good. It's an early enough game for anyone up the our neck of the woods, but it would wake you up. I'd say 20 minutes in now, once the coffee kicks in, and it'd be grand.
Totally.
So predictions, I think we're saying Australia on balance, but don't sleep on Fiji. Which will be the theme throughout that whole pool as well. There's a lot of good games.
Right up to the death, Fiji will be a threat. They're not even that big a momentum team. They can just go sometimes. They will have at least one very big performance. If it doesn't come against Australia or Wales, it will come against Georgia. I feel confident saying that.
So I suppose then we will move on, because there's a lot more games, and that Saturday just rolls on.
It does. Because
next we have France v Argentina, the Pool C clash.
What a game.
And what a game. It could prove, as we suspect, to be a straight up game for the knockout stages as the pool transpires.
I think in all likelihood, yes.
Yeah. Which means neither team can afford a sluggish start, and momentum is a big thing in the tournament, and definitely on balance I'd say France have more momentum to just mine from the last few weeks than Argentina, obviously, who are winless for the year coming in. But Argentina have World Cup pedigree, France have World Cup pedigree. They both play attacking styles. They both found something this year. Like
it's got the hallmarks of a great game. It's going to be at 8:15 a.m. our time, another early start in Tokyo Stadium in Tokyo, and the referee suitably is the great Angus Gardner, who loves this open attacking footy.
Yes.
So we've got all the tools here for just a really fun game to watch. As a curtain raiser for the All Black Springboks. But huge game for both teams. I think from France's perspective, it's got to be just about sticking to their guns. They've got to be a tough. I don't think Argentina's defense is terrible, but I haven't seen it be world class. I certainly haven't seen the likes of Orlando and De La Fuente being like guys who shut down that centre field.
True, but similarly, even in the pack, they do make some tackles on defence, but I don't see them dominate or shut these big teams down that often.
But they can often go toe to toe with them, like in that opening day against the All Blacks, opening day of the season, where they limited them to 20 points.
Yeah,
but from France's point of view, I think you're doing what you do. You're flooding those narrow channels where there'll be 1 or 2 defenders with 4 or 5 attackers.
Bringing those wingers in off the wing to get their hands on the ball. Pinot has been doing that a lot. And getting
the loose forwards in those channels as well. They love to just isolate a channel and flood it with players, and they'll back themselves to execute 3-on-2s in a phone box.
5-on-4s, 6-on-5s, all that. They are excellent at catch pass, and they have an instinct for a try
as well. Run lines off each other, and that's the way they get their line breaks. And I think they'll definitely be looking to do that. A bit of scrum dominance, I think, could be on the cards for the French as well.
That's what they'll be looking for. Like, there is a tradition in the top couture of scrumming for penalties. They want to get into good areas of the field. Lopez and Dupont, both like Clermont and Toulouse, respectively, do like to play themselves into the right areas and then get that offensive game going. And they're 2 halfbacks who are wily. And I actually do give France, if all things being equal, I give them a slight halfback edge. I think Sanchez on his day may be the most class operator of them all sometimes, but the balance between him and it's not. Whereas Dupont and Lopez, in those two this year, they've quietly found what is a very tidy halfback pairing, and they'll be looking to win scrum time, because Argentina have been shaky there all season against top level packs, and then kick themselves into the area, get some mauls going, but then be able to recognise the space when it's there, because it will be there if they get all those things going and back themselves to execute, because their wingers will score all day. If they get
Pinot is great if you get him on the ball.
Huget similarly, you love to take the mick out of him. He looks like hilarious, but like every time he gets his hands on the ball, he can make absolute class things happen. The French always have an instinct for a try. Like they do. It's weird, their mentality, where if it goes away from them, you can see them be absolutely awful for a time if they just aren't in the game. But if they are, and I suspect that won't be a problem for either team, they can make absolutely beautiful rugby happen. But then so can the Argentinians.
Yes, and one of the big questions France will have to answer is about their defence. For all of the offensive chops they have, for all of that scrum dominance that they could put on the Wallabies and probably having bigger, on the Wallabies and the Argentinians. And obviously those big ball carrying forwards as well. The defence is
the other side of the ball. They're not as good. For things like Dupont is not a weak link in that area, but it's tighter than that. They don't really have any jacklers.
No.
They have Camera in the squad, but even when he's there, he's
Camera will likely start. But I don't think he's
not an out and out jackler, but he does go for it more often than the others. Like Arturia, you sometimes get stuck in there, but he's not. They don't have a Pocock level player in that area, and they're great, which is a shame because they're great off turnover. Like sometimes they smash a ball loose. Vamahina sometimes puts in a massive hit and the ball can come loose, and they can be devastating off that. But they don't actually have any foragers on the team.
But actually, the biggest question probably for me is just how's their straight first up tackling. I mean, they're probably going to line up very traditionally. They're not going to back Gatun to do miracles from 13 if they pick him there, or Fofana, whoever they go for. They're not going to be backing them to pull off miracles. They are just going to be numbered up for the most part, trying to execute tackles. And then the big question is on obviously Huget and Pinot, and whether they're going to have the ability to shut down those brilliant Argentinian wingers. Because from Argentina's perspective, they're going to be doing what they do. They're going to be going wide. And you can get inroads against France that way. Like their forwards are a bit sluggish. If you move them from side to side, that's a good recipe for success a lot of the time. You even see a lot of times Ireland, who are not a traditional, like in Six Nations, don't traditionally play that game, but sometimes try to fire it around against France just to move them around and pull their defensive shape left and right, which is something Argentina do anyway. It doesn't always pay dividends, but against France you can definitely see how it can, because very often their forwards just get misaligned when there's a quick ball from one side to the other and can be slow folding around the corner, and that's when you really want your 10 and your centres to be spotting the gaps there, and their 10 and their 2 centres are probably their most experienced, balanced, kind of settled part of their team, even though their most dangerous part is their outside backs, but that little 3/4 line is really devastating. And they sometimes throw Moroni in there as well, especially when they see a weakness in the opposition, so they could go with Moroni at 13 and really try and probe through the middle. They do have good vision, and as you say, you can tire the French out. So there's avenues for success for both offenses. It could be a question of just who executes better. France obviously seemed great in terms of turning turnovers into tries, where Argentina, or line breaks into tries, whereas Argentina have been like lacking for a bit of clinical edge so far this season. They've been making tries and butchering them. They'll need to execute that right, and then it could become a shootout. But if it's to be decided inside of that area, and if a team is to get on top of another team and shut them down, I think the performance of Pablo Matera, who I think on balance, despite the French having a stronger pack than Argentina, is probably the single best rugby player in either pack.
Probably true. I would say, yeah.
He's a
awesome.
sensational player. He's got magnificent hands. He's got a great turn of pace, and his defense
wonderfully
is incredible.
Physical. Either side of the ball, though. His carry game and his smashing boys game is great. And when he's in a game, he's feisty, he's fiery, and that whole Argentinian pack have a bit of chip, like Petty in the second row as well. Has a bit of grit in him, and he can, when he gets in it, when someone like Matera sets the example, they can all get a bit like lovely and loose and flowy, and their forwards are all pretty tasty footballers. They can definitely even their rows can link up with the outside backs, because as you say, it is all about ultimately getting into the wings. But the flip side of that is if it starts to go a bit wrong, discipline can pile on both of these teams. If one of them gets an edge, I wouldn't be surprised to see the other start floundering.
So if neither side gets an edge, you could see the shootout. But what's probably more likely is that one side will get an edge, and if it's to be Argentina, like, you can see the French picture so clearly. They're going to have a dominant scrum. They're going to be going to that man-on-ball. They have some great ball carrying forwards who they'll be getting round the corner. You're like Torres, Camille Shah is an absolute weapon of a bloke. If they pick him at hooker,
even if he's off the bench, he's devastating.
But that's the big question Argentina will have to answer. And if there's one man you would want to be on the other side of that Camille Shah carry, it's Matera. And that's the picture they want to put. They want France to be going around the fringes and getting absolutely nothing, and then going wide when there isn't anything really on,
and maybe picking off an intercept or two.
Well, that's
the beauty potentially there.
There are conditions for both sides. Definitely. It's actually going to be a really fun game.
Yeah, it's one of the more even ones as well. And as we say, it's one of those absolute, pretty much pool deciding fixtures, and it's on the second day of the championship, so it's on
a nice edge, as they say.
They don't have a chance to build themselves in. They don't have an easy tier 2 game to kind of get their hands warm. They have to be hitting the ground running, and whoever is will likely be going through the pool, and whoever doesn't will be on the back foot and maybe the one to miss out.
Whoever doesn't has like a mammoth task of putting it up to
unseating this England team that are purring along, so who are definitely the top seeds in this pool in more ways than one. So this fixture is just amazing. I like, there are a few just questions like to be answered, I suppose, by both teams. You're looking at can the Matera be in the game enough on breakdown on either side of the ball to inspire the Argentinians and shut down what is a dangerous France side, and can they finish? Because I've seen Argentina have threatened to be good for so long, and at a World Cup we know they're better than anything. But since really the final of Super Rugby, where the Jaguares did come unstuck, we haven't seen what was potentially great. We were excited by the Jaguares all through Super Rugby, and like even the first game against the All Blacks was encouraging. But the momentum hasn't clicked for them yet, so
none of the Europeans who came into the side were able to influence it at all.
That's true too. They wanted to solve their scrum issues, and it didn't happen with Figallo coming in. So there are definitely those questions unanswered, and it has to be done quick.
So in terms of predictions, where are you with these games? This game,
I've in our last week I was bigging up the potential for France, but both of these sides who I can are because they're so attacking and because they're not really that attritional in how they play when it goes well for them. I can see them both potentially making a run all the way to a semi-final and maybe beyond, but I can also see it coming unstuck for either. I'm leaning more towards France currently, just based on a little bit more momentum coming in. I can
see that picture clear in my head for sure. We haven't got in much tape on Argentina since that Rugby World Championship, which was obviously rough. Rugby Championship, which was obviously rough for them.
So and then the game after against Springboks A, who were bulling for their places. They've
come close. They're not going to be playing the teams. France aren't of the same calibre of the Springboks and the All Blacks, obviously. So there are avenues for Argentinian success, and I do rate France a lot, but just for the mere colour of the podcast, I will go with Argentina. Because it is that close.
I'm thinking, it's like 52-48 in my mind. Flip a coin. They could. I think what is guaranteed is that it'll be a fun game to watch.
I think so.
I think
it'll be hard to not enjoy that one.
I suppose then we'll move on to the last game of the Saturday, the absolute wonderful triple header that is the Saturday, and we have pretty much the game of the tournament, certainly the game of the pool stages overall. We'll see some games after in the knockout, but this could be the final already. It's All Blacks Springboks.
Oh my god!
One of the classic games in World Rugby, and it happens on day 2.
Yeah, it's at Saturday, 11:15 our UK and Irish time, in International Stadium Yokohama, refereed by Jérôme Garcés, because the Kiwis and the French hold French refs. The Kiwis and the South Africans hold French refs in such high esteem.
They do,
generally speaking.
Could we see our red card that
if there is to be a refereeing drama on the opening day, it will surely be Mr. Garcés. He's something ridiculous.
Maybe. I hope not. We hope not. Because otherwise, what a game. All things being equal in that, what a fixture. And we've seen it once this year. Awesome. Ended with no closure, and both of them still going in, and
which is a fun dynamic. The All Blacks, obviously, from their perspective, vast improvement is what we've been looking for in terms of their offense. Bledisloe 2 and 92 points over Tonga would give them
definitely confidence.
Confidence in that. I'd give a shout out to the 1014, the other big YouTube channel.
Yes.
They did a little piece talking about how they've shifted basically their pod formations in midfield in their multi-phase quite slightly to sort of cope better with blitz defences.
Right.
And I think you would like to see them build on that. It's a very tough prospect getting things right on a multi-phase dynamic against this South African defence. I think that the area that maybe Argentina isolated a little bit is on that inside shoulder of Andre Pollard, between those inside forward defenders and the backline defence. You're never going to be able to... There's two things that you're not going to be able to do with the current structure, is smash your way through them on the inside, get any kind of room against just that initial forward pod of guys being led by the likes of Vermeulen and Etzebeth and Mostert, who are just driving guys back. There's just no avenue. They don't even have Retallick. They shouldn't take them on. That's one of your big critiques of the All Blacks, is getting Kieran Reid in that channel. He stacks up poorly against those Springboks.
And then he ends up if he gets smashed 3 times in the opening 20 minutes, he might be on the wide channel at 60 minutes and drop the ball because he's a bit broke up by the Springboks. You want him doing his thing out wide, challenge them elsewhere.
If you can have a few pods, one just on the outside of that Springbok defence, attacking that inside shoulder of Pollard, maybe another on the inside shoulder of Am, and then another couple of guys wider than that. That's the kind of look that you want to see to an All Black multi-phase.
I think that defensive frailty you pointed out exists, especially on line-out time sometimes. Line-out defence, that gap between Pollard and the rest of the forwards is a good one to try and isolate, because Pollard is game for the contact enough to... if you're in his face, he might creep just out of line to try and smash you, and that's where an inside ball can maybe pull them apart. But that being said, the Springbok defence has been awesome all season.
That's the thing, is that you can't go wide because Am is going to shut you down. You can't really go through the middle because actually inside Am you have a phenomenal defender in Damian Dalili. And then obviously those forwards in the middle are just a non-negotiable. So there's the kicking game option, but I think in terms of probing from an offensive perspective, that little channel is huge. And then obviously your classic get quick ball, present the ball right, ruck, get there on time as a rucker and clear out the opposition and then make it quick. And everything is more dangerous when it's quick.
Definitely true.
So that's getting their offense right is going to be massive for the All Blacks and would be a game changer, because it was an area that they were just flat out beaten.
Well, they were and then they were also just a bit flat in that area themselves. For the season, it's been good, even in the wake of Tonga aren't an opposition on this level, but it'll be good for the All Blacks' esteem to be putting 90 plus on a team just the right side of the World Cup, and as well as reclaiming Bledisloe after a bit of a shock and a humiliation in Perth, getting that meanness right and getting that clinical edge right the week after. Definitely signs of positivity. They're still, for all that we want to talk about how close this World Cup has got, that sometimes is at the expense of overlooking maybe the All Blacks, and you can't do that. You want it there's still a chance they come in game 1 and blow the team away and then take it. But similarly, the Springboks are, as we've been billing, the form side really coming in after what has been an impeccable season. They got their first rugby championship ever, but their first in 10 years really, which is a great bit of momentum to carry in. They exercised the demons of 4 years ago, went to Japan early, experienced a bit of that humidity, and way out from it, put the score they wanted to on Japan, righted that wrong, and now they're coming in for the biggest challenge of them all.
Couldn't be a higher momentum wave. No matter what the media says. They're obviously a brilliant team for them. Their big questions about shutting down that All Black offense, whatever the All Blacks win, Buckingham and Delindi in that centre to not let anything through them, making sure that they do resource that inside channel of Pollard well enough, and obviously just winning those collisions with dominant tackles, getting Francois' low body position into the game.
Even if it's off the bench.
Great squid rugby shout out. It's a worldie of a pun.
Yes, it is.
Stop using it.
We're big Francois fans, and like I've watched him all the time. He's devastating. He's a little pocock of his own. They have avenues to success. Obviously, you'll want to see Faf dictating tempo, but then the scrum half battle is so interesting. Whether the All Blacks go with TJ or Aaron Smith, and then both of them have world class scrummies to come in off the bench in Yankees as well. There's really good matchups all over the park, as always with this fixture, and it'll be decided by those little battles, who's getting the edge in little areas.
The Springboks themselves didn't quite get anything off in terms of offence themselves. Both defences seem to be in a good place. The physical game seems quite tight, although the All Blacks have a question to answer in terms of can their scrum hold up, obviously without Owen Franks, and can
Retallick.
And yes, can they be as physical without Brodie Retallick in the face of some seriously physical box? Because that's an avenue for box success as well, is literally just round the corner, quick ball off Faf, picking the right pass to the right man on the right line. He's over the game line, and then we're there and we're doing it again. And then the ball only goes wide when there's so many All Blacks sucked in that it's just a try.
Exactly. And if they can get that bit of momentum, if they can get Faf playing that super speedy game that he loves to play, if they're just winning those contacts, then there's no issue. The forwards will be quick to come onto it and onto it and onto it. What'll be key for the All Blacks is then being able to one phase in a few, being able to smash them back, which is easier said than done. But all of that,
like Patrick Tui Piladu's Bledisloe 2 performance, you could bottle that and send him out there. That's potentially class.
You need one or two of those, because then the Springboks sometimes, when they are on the retreat rather than the advance, they can be a bit slow to fold into their shape, and then Faf consequently can be too quick for his own forwards sometimes, and they want to upset that rhythm. Because if the Springboks do, like you say, just even simple round the corner, if that's collision one, even three in a row is enough for them to grab a try.
When you've got multiple options and forwards running smart lines, and then Faf being so quick and accurate, and he just picks the right guy, and then all of a sudden that's momentum. But to be fair, that didn't happen in Wellington in the earlier game. They were flat, they were stopped. The All Black defence was as successful as the Springbok defence in terms of their job. So from the Springboks perspective, obviously their centres are more function than flair, and they're distributing players in the wide channels are Pollard and Villy. What can they get going? Can they isolate some space in the All Black wide channels and get some plays off there? Obviously, we know if they get Colby in space or Mapimpi in space, or even
Colby versus George Bridge. If you can get them 1v1, they're both very fine players, but Colby has such devastating. He has the edge. Similarly, on the other way, Mapimpi versus Sevi Reece. I think that's an interesting matchup as well.
You'd think both players are winning when they have the ball.
Yes, and that's probably true. So you just want to be going forward, and then, as you say, what was off a lot in that last game, they were stopped a little bit more on the gain line than they would have liked. But Villy's passing game, if it had, he had maybe 4 or 5 moments that got away from him, even though he did have the one moment to bag the draw in the end, which showed why he's there and what his job is. But there were 4 or 5 occasions earlier in the game that could have been big moments if he'd managed to get his passing game or his distribution game on and had that matchup. That needs to be right for this game.
And similarly, it's a very curious dynamic in terms of what both offences are going to look like. The Bok plan is a curious picture itself, because I suspect the All Blacks will be keen to score tries in this game. So I wonder if the Boks get a bit of early dominance. Are they just going to be thinking, we back our defence, old school NFL style,
3 points,
let's just take our 3-pointers, let's go for a nice let's exit, let's go for a nice tight win over the All Blacks, classic old school Springbok rugby? Or are they going to have the wherewithal to maybe say, this is a new All Blacks, they could come at us in the second half, we have to be aware they're still the All Blacks, maybe we need tries here, maybe we need to go to the corner and get our maul going and hurt them that way. And it's curious to see whether they'll have that urgency. So far this year they have been very 3-point heavy, and it's worked for them because they've got such a great defence. I actually don't know what the answer is, but I think it's an interesting dynamic.
I think the correct answer is a bit of both. I think there's definitely, there'll be 1 or 2 moments where the try is probably the right option, or it's not even the try, it's like we compliment with the likes of Ireland when they're on their game, it's just just hold the ball down there. Yeah, we'll set up a maul, make them defend it, because Kiwis don't like defending maul. That's not their favourite aspect of rugby at all. They prefer when they're on their own 5 metre trying to defend a Springbok maul. That's as far removed as they want to be from the game. Little kids with
rugby balls in their back gardens in New Zealand aren't practising their defence of maul, generally speaking.
No, it's true. So they much rather be getting their hands. So even when you kick 3 points, it can't. Yes, it's 3 points, and you want to be clinical and taking things in the World Cup. But similarly, against this All Black side, if you're winning collisions a lot and you get a bit of momentum, you just want to hold the ball and make them make tackles.
You could see like the Springboks, if it could go well, you could see them kicking their way up, getting a bit of momentum, getting their 3-6-9, and then maybe, especially when the All Blacks have been soft enough to take some 3-pointers themselves, you can really get away with it then.
Yeah.
You get your 9-3 and then your 12-3 and then win it that way. Just really tight kicking game with maybe even no tries in it. But alternatively, what you could see is that being the plan, it going more or less according to plans, 3-0, 6-0. Oh, then the All Blacks score 7-6. Oh, then the All Blacks score again right before half time, 14-6, and you've dominated the game, and now you're down by whatever it is, 8 points.
Which is a very All Black trait. They do that a lot. That's what the All Blacks do,
and you can't sleep on that. I know they haven't been the power that they were, but the Boks, I think, do need some tries.
Yeah, they definitely do. To win the game, at least one. If they can make it about the kind of plan of just we'll go 9-6, 12-6, and then grab our try, and then that's suddenly a bit of distance. That's the ideal platform for that. But the All Blacks can strike. They're devastating, really. It's just a matchup with. It's the best game. It's a great game.
It's the best game.
I'm at odds to predict it. We've been saying that South Africa are the foreign team. I did watch New Zealand score a load of tries over the last couple of games and remind me that the All Blacks, they're champions. They're they're going for the 3 in a row.
I'm curious to see will they pick Barrett, where they'll put Barrett. Will they put him at 10? I don't know. Will they go for TJ at 9, which I think they should?
I absolutely think they should, because the South Africans can be.
Because one of the things that the Safas do is they dominate a contact and then actually break through the contact and then almost slip away from their own support men.
Yeah.
And TJ is literally one of the best in the world at just getting a cheeky steal right then and there. If a big buck, if Malcolm Marks breaks through a tackle and then lands at TJ's feet, TJ's just in.
Yeah.
He's really great at doing that.
Yeah.
So I think he's a good weapon to have in there for sure.
You definitely want to be it. It depends what they want to make the game about. They tend to go for Aaron Smith when they don't want to get into that battle. So like you're saying, maybe they do want to just avoid.
Forced on them though.
I know. Yeah. Well, TJ's definitely got a bit more grit and fight. He's up for the physicality, and sometimes against the box he gets found out that he'll try and perp. He tried to perp Quagga Smith, I remember, and that did not go for him. He does get delusions of flankerdism.
There's a touch of notions to him for sure.
But that's kind of good in a halfback. That's a healthy trait in a halfback. You want that
for sure.
And against the Springbok side, you need all the physicality and edge that you can get. So we're going to call it. What are you going to say?
Yeah, I've been very uncomfortable because I've been reading a lot of papers from around the world, and just about every talking head has said that South Africa are going to win the World Cup, almost thinking they're clever. But and that should make me uncomfortable because usually every talking head, ourselves included, tend to be wrong about these things. So I don't know. I can see pictures for both, but I have to stick to my guns in terms of saying that I think the most complete team is the Springboks, and I think the Springboks to edge it. I think them to get maybe a couple of nice Chet and Kobe tries and maybe 2 tries to 1,
Yeah,
maybe that one score game, but close.
Yeah. I'm inclined to agree. I see it again as so tight, and I can see the first 20 minutes being crucial in terms of deciding that if it's an All Black try, then
it's a very dangerous game all of a sudden.
I think for colour, I'm going to say that the All Blacks nick it this
I think
time.
that's fair enough.
And they're going to do for our chances by giving us the Springboks, because that would be very annoying of them. Because that's the other side from both of these teams' perspectives. Like they have memories and they'll back themselves to go and beat Ireland if that comes down to it. But they both prefer to avoid it. All things equal, they'd both be looking for. They have much more experience and of. Put swatting aside either Japan or Scotland.
Yeah, it's a much easier quarterfinal, and it's just the factor of the level of physicality that Ireland are going to bring is huge.
Yeah,
so it's
just a more attritional game.
It's 3 consecutive weeks of playing those tough games to win a World Cup for anybody.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that the All Blacks were saying actually on the breakdown, which is a little show Sky Sport New Zealand do that they post on YouTube. I can't remember which point it was saying it, but they were saying it might have been Jeff. I can't remember. But he was saying that the All Blacks, the way they're playing that attritional game, winning like 4 or 3 knockout consecutive games seems a lot less likely than it did.
Yeah.
Just the way they're playing. Like, you can see them winning most games, but 3 in a row is tough for anybody.
Yeah, especially if you're playing that kind of...
Making that quarterfinal game
as easy as they can. That's the goal from this. Yeah. So, like, both of these sides will likely emerge. In fact, almost undoubtedly emerge from the pool. But this will go a long way as far as building momentum, but also kind of navigating their way through the knockout stages and making sure they have the best chance to go all the way, which is what both sides will look to do. I'm going to say for colour then that the All Blacks surprise all the talking heads, as you say, ourselves included, and just derail what has been a pretty impeccable Springbok season thus far.
If anybody can.
There's precedent for it. They both like knocking lumps out of each other. It'll be a great game. Oh, it's just going to be a great
phenomenal game.
Yeah.
Not to be missed.
Not to be missed.
Yeah. That is followed up on Sunday morning at 6:10 Irish time in Hanazono Rugby Stadium in Higashi-Osaka.
Mm-hmm.
It is Italy against Namibia, the other game to open this pool. Refereed by Nick Berry.
Yeah.
And this, for Italy, it'll be curious to see how good they look. It'll be curious to see what Namibia look like.
True.
Frankly.
Yeah.
From an Italian perspective, you'd just be looking to see some of that sharp offense going.
Yeah. Tommy Allen getting his hands warm, putting some of the outside backs in space.
It's a difficult game for Conor O'Shea, even because they should win by lots, but it's difficult in the sense that they just haven't got a huge amount of tape on Namibia like us. They are an unknown quantity, and the chances are they're going to come out trying to be as physical as possible. Namibia.
Yeah.
They're going to have tried to get that controllable right,
yeah,
and just be in a nice physical place. So the question is whether Italy, with their big back rowers, can actually shock Namibia, being like, no, you think you're physical, this is physical. Or alternatively, just move the ball around them. And if they can get that nice combination of Bram Steyn dominating collisions and then the ball, quick ball, easy ball for the backs, Tommy Allen to run the show, then you're talking about your 85-15s and your big wins.
Yeah, potentially. Like this, Italy, I feel like should have too much for both tier 2 sides below them, Namibia included. I do believe they have improved under Conor O'Shea, and as we've said before, this is an unfortunate World Cup for them because I think they will end up smack bang in the middle of it again. Third, automatic qualification. They're going to get whooped by the Springboks and the All Blacks, but also similarly going to do good things against the sides of Canada and Namibia that are both lower than them. Like Italy, obviously putting 80 points on Russia will be encouraging for this kind of fixture because it's a team. They have no tape on them, but they're pretty confident. They're stronger than, and they're more used to. Like that physicality that you were citing with Namibia, they want to be in a good physical place. Italy play through the Six Nations all the time.
They're just a lot more used to it.
When they win contacts, it's impressive. When Bram Steyn, we see him stand up on a tier 1 level a lot of the time, and certainly this season.
Stood up against England.
Negri coming off the bench. Similarly, their back row forwards are capable of going forward, and their scrum has kind of improved a little as well. Their back play has generally. It looks completely unrecognisable to 4 years ago. Jaden Hayward's in a good bit of form. Tommy Allen's grown into his game a lot. He's a great runner of the football and has developed a good passing and a little decent tactical kicking game. I expect they'll have much too much for a Namibia side coming in really under the radar.
I will say for Namibia is that centre Dysel, who got that awesome try against the All Blacks, running through 2 of them in the last World Cup, is still there.
Yes.
Italy are defensively quite frail in the midfield.
That's true.
Namibia, like for any tier 2 side, a couple of penalties, chance to hold the ball in the opposition territory, then all of a sudden you can, even though you're on the big stage, you have your drills and you're just running your drills and you're putting your big men into the centres and all of a sudden things are coming off. That's the kind of thing they'll be hoping for. And Italy's defence is frail. They should be optimistic about scoring a couple of tries here.
Yes, this is it. And for the tournament, that's what we kind of hope. Like 2015 was great in that the tier 2 sides showed real growth and there were some great results and famous ones, but there was tighter margins than we'd been used to seeing for many World Cups before. So it would be good in a fixture like this if Namibia can get a few plays off, get a few tries on the board and just make a spectacle of it, even if it is to be what we suspect, which is an Italy win. And Italy for them, it'll be just about warming their hands, getting themselves into the tournament, get them in a healthy place in terms of we scored some tries, we got through relatively unscathed hopefully, and we can build ourselves up for the absolute mammoth tests that are to come, because they will be scared and shocked by both All Blacks and Springboks down the line. Actually, both of these sides will.
Yes, I think you're right about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Italy to win that one.
I think so.
That is merely a curtain raiser for Sunday's big game.
Yeah.
Which is coming up, Ireland against Scotland.
Yeah.
8:45 a.m. UK and Ireland time. International Stadium Yokohama, refereed by Wayne Barnes.
Yes.
Reasonably fair man.
Yeah.
It's got some news coming out of it already from an Ireland perspective that Henshaw and Earls seem unlikely to play.
They do.
Obviously massive news last week about Robbie Henshaw and his injury, and he was someone we were very, very confident about, who coloured a lot of our Ireland chat last week going into this tournament, and his similarities to Am. He's as close as any 13 gets when he's on his game to Am defensively. But he will not be playing this week anyway. And then there's doubts about Rob Kearney and Joey Carberry and whether they can make it back on time.
Yes.
You would be optimistic about getting one of those guys in the game.
Hopefully so.
So yeah, and then obviously the other news is that there's apparently, according to Joe Schmidt anyway, meteorologist Joe Schmidt.
Oh yes.
There's to be a storm.
There's a storm coming apparently, and yes, for sure we've been forewarned about that. It's been a talking point. We've had the 0-0 draw loophole has been permeating through some of the chats and talking.
It's one of the media's favourites. Hopefully that doesn't.
Hopefully that we get the whole World Cup without that. I could do without a walkover 0-0 draw against Russia or anyone. Yeah. But yeah. So hopefully it'll not be too bad.
Yeah. From Ireland's perspective, it's a massive game. Yeah. Just for everything. I mean, first of all, this pool has that interesting dynamic where you don't know who Japan could upset.
Yeah.
So you don't want to lose any games because you could be caught in that Japanese melee like the last time where everyone has one loss.
Yes.
And then it's bonus points and goofy shit that decides things.
It's true.
So I think for both sides, they're not going to be wanting to lose this game. Chance to top the pool is massive, and then just momentum in a tournament. Especially Ireland with like a frail new confidence.
It is a bit of a frail confidence. It's coming in as number one in the world, but that could all change very quickly.
That is a confidence that depends on winning these opening two games and doing so well.
Yeah.
And if they do that, then they will have a real confidence going into that quarter final, which will be massive. But right now it's a frail confidence, and they need to put Scotland to bed essentially.
Yeah, and Scotland themselves have wrestled a bit of momentum out of these warm-up fixtures as well. Their doubleheader with France did them a world of good, even though they did get blown away in the first fixture. The fact that they fixed that in Murrayfield was very encouraging. It's really their doubleheader against Georgia, which is good stylistic prep for Ireland anyway, in terms of what, like, Georgia aren't on Ireland's level, but they're trying to play a similar game to what Joe Schmidt's Ireland are, and Scotland have now got two great pictures of it all going right for them against it, and making it about the Scotland way, which is speed and accuracy and Finn Russell's passing game, and try and move Ireland's big forward pack around and grab their tries when they're there.
Definitely, moving the big forwards around is key. Seeing if, obviously in the absence of Henshaw, getting that pass away to the outside of a ring rose and getting Henshaw on the ball in the wide channels. Huge. Henshaw's
getting hog on the ball in the wide channels.
Yeah. Names have gone out of my head today, but getting hog on that ball and looking to wear Ireland down and strike them with that quick game.
Yeah, we've seen pictures of it over the last few years. Like, generally, Joe Schmidt's Ireland has managed to get the better of the Scots more often than not. Obviously, one big win in Murrayfield a few years ago, and performances in Dublin where it was tight, and they did manage to get like the likes of Stewie Hogg on the ball in the wide channels, but for that last pass eluding them on three separate occasions, it could have been a different story.
The last pass is its own factor. Being clinical is a big part of this game.
It's a big part of Scotland's game. Like, more so than Ireland, and more so than a lot of teams, Scotland try to strike whenever it's there. Like, if they see a bit of space that could result in a try, they try to exploit it, and that involves the execution of a killer pass and a last pass to complete it. Whereas Ireland are completely kind of philosophically different. If they see a 50-50 ball that could be, if you ping it off your left hand 40 yards, could be a great try, they're going to play the percentages more often than not and go back inside and try and dominate a contact and get another ruck going. Which presents its own, like, this has always been a good game in these last few years, because they are two stylistic.
They're going about it very differently,
two different approaches to playing the game.
I just think just that one huge area for Scotland is the flankers. Barkley and Watson on the far side of the ball when they don't have the ball. The way that Ireland look to hold the ball, when it has gone wrong for Ireland in recent years, the damage that jacklers have done to that attempt to hold the ball is key. That's what Scotland are going to be looking at. Watson and Barkley slowing everything up, getting steals, getting those jackals. If Ireland are winning contacts like the TJ chat for steals, Hamish Watson getting over the ball.
They don't want to get on the wrong side of Barnes in the breakdown. He does officiate the breakdown more than some of the other refs. So like they will be trying to, like when Scotland are at their best, you'll see Barkley make a tackle and he is on the wrong side. He's landed on the wrong side and he's gonna stay there as fraction, just upset Ireland's support runners enough for Watson to come in over the ball. Yeah. It's potential to go wrong if they're a little bit inaccurate, and then suddenly Barnes is seen as like, yeah, you're okay, but you're not rolling away. That kind of stuff does.
Barnes does. You're right to flag that. Barnes does get that out, but no, they can be very disciplined in that area as well, and they can just be clean steals that they get. Hamish Watson in particular, a very tough man to move.
He is.
He gets a lot gets tough with his ball carrying, but his defensive chops are massive.
Yes.
So that's a huge picture for Scotland as well, and then obviously just in terms of constricting Ireland. The Nell Healy battle is just colossal.
Great contest.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can't even remember when Nell was playing in Georgia, if it was actually Nariashvili who was up against, but whoever it was, he managed to really hold his own and played a great game out in Georgia against a great scrum.
Yeah,
and it's a similarly Herculean task against an Irish pack with a load of heft and as elite a scrummager as they come, and you said knocking on his door. So that battle, if they can lock down that scrum, all of a sudden, where Ireland would be looking to dominate the set piece, they would be looking almost to get some off themselves because they've got scrum parity, and then maybe they can pick off a couple of those dodgy Irish lineups. That would be huge. And then just the back three, because if it's a storm and if it's wet, you know that Ireland are going to go to a kicking game. They're going to kick that leather off the ball. Sexton is going to kick those bombs that have just incredible air on them. Murray's going to exit with box kicks. And how their back three deal with them.
It's how they're oriented. They may opt for someone like Maitland on the wing to give them a bit of
Blair Kinghorn.
Or sorry, not Maitland, but I heard Kinghorn.
Kinghorn.
Fullbacks in terms of diffusing that, because Stewie Hogg is not the most elite. Like, he's generally very, very solid in the air. And loves, like, if
he's given space, like if a kick goes too long,
that's devastating. But in the context, if it's him v Rob Kearney, we don't know if he'll be there. But if he's him in the air against
Roger Conway,
if it's that Sexton bomb with a load of air, or the Murray box kick returning with a load of air, that can be a contest that the Scots just don't want to be a part of, because that's more of the Ireland game. It will be forced on them.
They have to just diffuse them, Liam Williams style.
Yeah.
Then we have the ball. Yeah. That's how you do it.
Indeed.
So that's going to be massive for them as well. Yeah. And from Ireland's point of view, it is about dominating physically. They do have a lot of recent memory of dominating Scotland physically, both in club and country.
Sure.
Those players are used to doing that. And yes, it's about holding the ball, getting that edge at scrum time. I think Ireland have been too complacent with their scrum. I think they have an excellent scrum, and they tend to not keep the ball at the base. They actually tend to almost to coach the guys to seemingly scrum for like, you can see sometimes they're just scrumming to lock it down.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the shape of them. Sometimes Tig is just down, like, I'm not moving. That's my thing. I'm just not moving. Yeah. And Keane the same. Where actually they've got a load of heft. They've blew and dropped Dev Toner just to bring in a hefty scrummaging lock. Yeah. It's time for Ireland to really, really
go
put
after
the wheels
some
on
of
the
these
scrum.
scrums. I expect that to actually be a tactic in this and the Japan game. Like, as much as the weather is humid over there, they're obviously billing a storm. If the storm does come, and if it's a wet, blustery game, that obviously is more advantageous to Ireland's chances than Scotland's, because it will affect all things like passing accuracy and speed of the game in general.
Making a game tighter generally is going to benefit Ireland.
But similarly, even if it is that hot picture, that hot, humid and dry track, even if those do come in these fixtures, Ireland's scrum is a way of controlling that. Like, it doesn't have to be out wide, it doesn't have to be flat, like, because defending in that heat is going to be taxing, and there will be more space, and it'll be a looser thing than even up in the Six Nations in different climates. But at scrum time, we're all locked down together, and Ireland, can be more aggressive than they have been, and I expect they will. I expect they just haven't been showing.
I think that
they showed a bit of it against Wales.
People are talking about what Joe Schmidt has up his sleeve. Yeah, and I actually think it's what Greg Feek has up his sleeve. I think the biggest thing that Ireland will look to bring to this World Cup that they haven't been bringing is offensive scrummaging, because it seems to me like they've had the boys on a leash. Like, a lot of times they've looked like they could have an edge over a side, and they've just chosen to keep it solidity. So I think they're looking to actually shock teams with their scrum. And that's something they're going to be going for. I think that's massive. Holding the ball, huge. Sexton's performance, huge. Whether it's in a rainy picture and he's kicking the ball, or whether he's just dictating that offense where they're holding the ball.
Murray's speed of passing. We want to get that established rhythm. If we're going to be going around the corner off 9, there needs to be a clip to it. And Murray, when he's on form, can be doing that and playing our guys over the gain line. but when it's a little bit stuttery, and if Scottish tacklers can affect things, McAnally's another one actually who we didn't mention, who's a good guy in that area. Scotland will be looking to spoil that, but a lot will be hinging on the halfbacks and their performance to get Ireland over the gain line and over the line in this game.
And obviously we're rooting for Ireland going into this one. Can Ireland shut down from a defensive point of view what Finn is bringing?
Well, they can. They have.
Without Henshaw.
Without Henshaw, it's tougher. He is some guy for getting in the passing lane quickly, and that means just presenting a picture that Finn loves, which is an enticing pass or a floated pass. And Henshaw is as good as anyone when he's there at just getting into that space and making man and ball hits. Which is what you want. And similarly, if Rob Kearney doesn't play, Finn's boot is also, it's hot and cold, but when it's hot, it can be very
glorious looking to attack that space.
So if there's a dodgy, if it's Larmour or someone having to slot in, then that's an avenue the Scots will attack too. It all starts with physicality. That's why things like the scrum are important. I hope our line out can get a bit more confidence and a bit more going off. Offensive mauling is another similar aspect to this Ireland game that really needs to be there for our whole kind of picture to be painted, which it wasn't in the warm-up games. Even in the last few where we were getting on top and we managed to beat Wales, there were still question marks about line out. And for the first time in a long time, like even Ireland teams that were going to the World Cup with less of a chance than we were maybe billing them with in years gone by, they always seem to have a solid line out. Even going back to like Malcolm O'Kelly and Keith Wood and times like that, we always had a strong line out base, and that is a bit rocked. The foundations of that are a bit more rocked than I can certainly remember going to a World Cup with before.
Didn't Argentina pick off a couple?
They picked up
once Paul O'Connell went injured in that quarterfinal.
Yeah, that was another. It was a big talking point. The lack of Paulie. Like for the whole game, every lost line out was panned to Paul O'Connell in crutches up in the stand. But that's not like on day one of the tournament we were coming with Paul O'Connell, everyone there, and a line out and maul that was as good as any in the world, and I'd like to see us get to that level again.
No question. Yeah, it's a tough one to call neutrally.
Well,
from our point of view,
I'm wearing my green and voting with my heart and saying that Ireland are going to win this. Similarly, though, I'm prefacing it as we will with all. There are winning conditions for both, and look for the first 20 minutes. Who's setting the tempo of the game?
I'm going to vote with my heart as well, wearing blue, and say Ireland will win.
Ireland will win.
But I think there are more good winning conditions for Ireland. They are more physical. They're quite used to doing it. I also think the absence of Earls / maybe even Carney gives a good opportunity to get Andrew Conway into the game, and he's one of the form players out there at the moment, and it'll be exciting to maybe get him on the ball, and then all of a sudden you've got wingers Stockdale and Conway who you can put in space, who will grab tries. So I actually think they're like one of the things that we didn't even touch on is that the Scottish midfield, granted it's a little more secure perhaps with Johnson and
Harris or Taylor there.
Indeed, it is a little more secure with those guys, but there have been holes in there to exploit, and last time they met, Sexton put Stockdale into one beautifully. There's a lot of good in the Irish attack when it gets purring as well, and I think there are tries to be had.
Finn will be looking for that intercept though, same as Bigger before him, that little pod structure that in the midfield. I
don't think Sexton's throwing it for some reason.
I don't think so. I think it's going into Stockdale's hands, and if it's not on, it's going into CJ's or someone else's, and they're just going to run into Scots. So I'm hopeful that we can get this done, and even hopeful that maybe a bonus point, but I'm not getting greedy. I just want to see this game won by Ireland professionally, clinically, and hopefully let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Come on Ireland. Yes. So that was Ireland-Scotland. This is going to be the next game, Sunday, the real big game on Sunday, apparently.
Well, it is a big game in the sense that they're both big.
Yeah, Ireland-Scotland is apparently a curtain raiser for England against Tonga. This is going to be at Sunday. This is going to be 11:15. UK and Irish time, and that's in the Sapporo Dome, which is a really cool stadium in Sapporo. Refed by Paul Williams. From Tonga's point of view, this is a bit intimidating.
It is, especially in the wake of a 92-7 defeat to the All Blacks. They're a team built on physicality. They have huge forwards. Even backs are pretty hefty as well. They do have a tidy enough little pick and go game when they can get it going into the right areas, but in general they've been struggling all year, and just England. Like if they're going to try and take them on physically because it's their game, but England are one of the more physical sides at this World Cup, and I think they will be hitting a brick wall. They'll be running their big men, but it'll be a Toji smashing them backwards, or any one of their lots of
That's the thing. Even if they can sort of get that big World Cup mojo and get a big start and just not get smashed, actually do some smashing, because they're big men themselves. The difference that England have this time around is that they have a very, very sharp passing game, and they will just move them around and move them around, and the Tongans
do you expect to see Ford Farrell maybe?
Or even, you know, you could mess around game. I'd like to see Slade get some game time.
I would too.
Before the big games. But whatever they do, they could put Ford and Slade, or even Pierce Francis could get in there, depending on how fit Tuilagi is. You can do all kinds of things, but I think no matter who they pick, there's going to be some sharp passing. There's going to be some big men to get on that ball, and they're going to look to move Tonga around and then strike with physicality.
And there is just ample chance to do that against this Tonga side in hopefully dry enough conditions for them. It'll be just a grand affair. Like England traditionally, and it's something in their mentality that can be annoying from where we're looking at, but it serves them well in these contests. When they come across a tier 2 opposition, they have no compunction about swatting them aside. Usually it's very rare they get shocked, and in a game like this where I think even matchup wise Tonga are just a much less elite version of England in many ways. They're trying to do similar-ish things, but they're nowhere near the level.
They need England to be wildly off their game. They need to come with loads of aggression, loads of physicality, get some big hits in early, and then need England to be throwing loose passes and knock-ons and giving away penalties and lip to the ref. They need like an on-tilt, out-of-sorts England, and we just haven't seen that England in the run-up to this tournament.
This is true.
We haven't seen anything
the only danger in this game for England, really, like I can't see that happening, to be honest, at all.
It doesn't look likely.
But what I can potentially see happening is maybe a vicious hit on someone you'd rather not see get hit, like Billy Hines or Doan Farrell. If they do pick Ben Young, that's the danger, because Tonga are physical and they are game for a tackle.
Billy Vunapola's leg.
That would it's a danger. All the World Cup's going to be full of them. Tonga will be there. They'll be there to fight tooth and nail for every inch, and they'll be giving it everything they can get, and they will ship more tries than they'll score, and they'll lose the game. But I wouldn't put it past them to put in one or two monster tackles in between them then.
I think my instinct is that while they do get bigged up, they're going to start as strong as they can start. I think England are going to wear them out pretty quickly, and they're going to actually quit. And I think this is a bloodbath. I think this is England by loads of points. This is
I suspect so
60
too.
60 plus.
This England side, we've seen it. We saw it in Twickenham with Ireland a few weeks back, and that's a much greater calibre of opposition. When they click and when it's going well, they refuse to stop a lot of the time. It'll take someone being wily and making a play and stopping their momentum before they're even challenged to try and change the game, but they play at such an automatic pace anyway that I think matchup wise Tonga are just, they're not the team to stop them. They're not going to stop them, and it's going to be England's momentum wave carrying through for round 1 anyway. But as you say, England by lots.
Now on Monday, at 11:15 a.m, the only game on Monday, we have Wales against Georgia in the Toyota Stadium in Nagoya, to be refereed by Luke Pearce, which is an interesting enough dynamic. I'm not sure, I may be misremembering this, but I think Luke Pearce was in charge of Georgia Scotland in Tbilisi,
right,
and he really got on the backs of the Georgians. He really did. He was pinning them a lot. He was not sympathetic to anything that they were doing, and was pinning them.
In defence of Luke Pearce, I was watching that game and I thought he was mostly right.
I thought he was quite harsh actually on a number of occasions on the Georgians. I think that's an interesting dynamic. There's just going to have to be a lot more accurate in terms of what they do in and around the tackle area. But his not rolling away calls were instant and super quick, and constant, and it was from the very beginning of the game.
Tough to slow down an opposition, which is what Georgia's game plan is. If that's what the ref's preference is for quicker ruck ball, he's going to be on you. If you're in any way dodgy at the breakdown, you're pinged. That suits Wales, obviously.
So I think that's definitely an intangible dynamic that's working against Georgia. But from Wales' point of view, it's been interesting to hear them. They've been talking quite a bit in their media and from their camp about the scrum.
Scrum time, obviously. It's the question with Georgia that has to go answered.
Thomas Francis up against Nariashvili, it is a tough task.
As we said it in our show last week, any tight head in the world going to face Georgia is in for a tougher day than the rest of his teammates normally. It's the tight head prop knows he's in a serious game, a wrestling match all game, and the rest of them are trying to be accurate and make sure we win in other areas.
It's a curious question for Wales. I don't think that they should get bogged down into a tight Six Nations-y physical game even if they feel they have the edge, I just don't think that's where you want to play Georgia.
No.
That just
and the last time they played, these two met, they did do that, and it wasn't anywhere near as I was in the Millennium Stadium, and they didn't get their dominant offense going, and they ended up in an arm wrestle, which they want the pace of game to be higher than that. I would err on the side of even picking Patchell and moving the team around and basically. It's
definitely a question. The only thing is that they will, if they do pick Patchell, Georgia will on the other side of the ball send Becca Gorgadze down his
or Mamuka Gorgadze. But I favour the running game against Georgia, and because we saw Georgia are so physical when the contact happens, and if Patchell does run down a Gorgadze or a Gorgadze or any of those Godzillas or get run at by them, he's not winning that collision. But if he can stand a bit deeper and run at them and get the ball away, the Georgian line speed isn't where it should be.
No.
And they're slowing of the ball. In terms of at ruck time, they're getting their hands in, making it messy. Hasn't been where it should be either. So Wales will be looking for quick ball and moving the game.
Move them around. Do what Scotland did to them. Get tries, because that's what you're looking at. The Georgian defence isn't that elite, and you don't want to get bogged down in the scrum game. No. You don't want to get bogged down in the tight, because that's where the Georgians can get in your face.
Yeah, and the Georgians love that. You're playing them into the game that way. Yeah. They only love doing that. So. As much as and then Gatland does have that little chip and streak where he does like to take teams on at their own game.
Yeah.
This is one of those circumstances where it's much easier and much more navigable to just make it about something else. And we've already praised this Welsh team on its versatility.
Yeah.
Mentioned the fact that Gatland's been there for 10 years. Yeah. That there's a lot of consistency and there's a lot of just depth as far as players have come in and played the system before, and they can take games to different places. We've said that about them. They're as versatile, if not the most, in world rugby. So this is a chance to show it by making it more of a spectacle. They want to get their outside backs in the game.
Territory is huge as well. Georgia have yet to display a chance to really competently exit.
Yes.
And if you can put them in their own half, that's where they get uncomfortable.
True.
Like at their best in the Rugby Europe games, Georgia barely enter their own half.
Yeah.
They instantly get out, and then they're just in the opposition half. They just have crazy territory numbers.
Yes.
And that's one thing that Wales will be looking to undo is putting them in that awkward position that they didn't deal with in the Scottish doubleheader.
Yeah.
From Georgia's point of view, it's a tough game. Like, it's important in momentum tournaments. We talk about this thing. Yeah. They do fancy themselves in the tight against these top teams. They do think highly of themselves. They're going to be a little wounded from that Scottish
Scotland doubleheader,
yeah, and they're going into this game with a few weeks break off that. They have had time to think and adjust. It is sort of, there's a bit of on the fly going to this, but there are simple things that they did work in even in the second game in Murrayfield, like the kicking game of Absendadze and Matiashvili.
Yeah.
Getting them on the front foot, kicking the ball. That's what they did in the second test for that period of about 60 minutes where it was tight. They were actually on the front foot, and then they were kicking the ball into corners.
Recognising
they actually have to be a little more focused on territory than possession, because of the degree to which tier 2 sides are looking to dominate the territorial game. So they have to kick smarter. They have to get on the front foot, but before anything else happens, make sure the ball is in the opposition half, preferably deep in the opposition half. And then from there, make them exit, get possession, and
that will take a more accurate passing game than they've been displaying in terms of just getting 2 or 3 passes away from a ruck and then kicking. Because Lobsanidze box kicks, I rate Lobsanidze, but Liam Williams or
they're not box kicking. No, it's not box kicking. It's kicking for grass in behind the upcoming Welsh wingers.
Yes,
for touch.
Of course, that is the way to play him. And you'll just hope to see that those tactics are on point, that in the first 20 Georgia are trying at least to do that. And then they do have a chance, like once they get into the 22, if they can get their hands on the ball, they will slow it down. They'll take it to that pick and jam game, and they'll try.
They can do that against almost anybody.
They can.
Like Wales are a tough prospect for most sides, and actually the line out maul and then getting a penalty off that will be a great avenue for them. But they are great when they set up base camp in someone's 22 and holding the ball. They can do that for 10-12 minutes. They can milk a yellow card and then score a try. They look to do that against anybody. They look to do it against the All Blacks, for God's sake. They just go there and do it.
That's their place. That's what they can do.
But in terms of getting there, they have to be a lot sharper. And they have some big questions they have to answer if they're going to actually compete in this game. Can their defence actually get out of the line, get some sharper reads in their defence, and then obviously they're great when the contact happens, maybe hold the ball up and suffocate that Welsh attack. Can they do that? Can Absendadze and Matiashvili get them into the right areas of the field with their kicking game? And can they slow up Welsh ball in terms of at the breakdown?
Hopefully, that would be the main improvement.
That's what Gorgadze is huge at. Gorgadze has played 7 at an elite level. He's got to go straight into the team and be a jackler. That's massive.
Because on the other side of the ball, they may be getting the picture painted as to how just to do that, because we've rated Wales are probably one of the best in the world at that exact skill, just getting your hands in the ball from 1 to 15. They all do it.
Yeah.
Like whenever there's a tackle made, there's someone in there, and they do a combination of fanning out and pushing up with decent line speed, but not quite the tiger as well splits we've seen in the past. They're more reserved than that now. They're happy to soak and slow down. Like they're going to try and create those 5-second rucks, and then if Georgia are playing that pick and jam game in their own territory, setting up kicks sloppily and slowly, Wales are only too capable of dealing with that. They need to be a bit more adventurous to try and get around them.
It also just needs to be big plays and big moments. Like if Wales are on the attack, can Gorgodze get in on the ball, get a penalty, and then all of a sudden you're down the field? That's what they want. They need to be down the field.
Can Gorgodze smash Alan Wynne-Jones? Big momentum hits like that will be huge.
Knock-ons generate scrums. Making plays on the wrong side of the ball is going to be massive for Georgia, and then looking sharp when they have it.
Which is easier said than done against a Wales outfit that are looking to come out and top this very, very dangerous pool. And they have the tools to do it. Like they even though their warm-up games haven't gone according to plan, not a lot can be made of them. They're like the warm-up games are not the World Cup. They've done all their pre-season, they've done their conditioning, they've got some of their shapes, they know who their squad are. Now it's time to implement some plans, and hopefully from Wales's point of view it won't become about that. They'll be able to kick the Georgians back, make them exit loosely to them, get their counter-attack strike runners into the game, get Jonathan Davis if he's there, but get their centres on the ball and trying to get like that bit of pace out wide and score some great tries, because this Wales team are capable. They have loads of tries in them, and loads of different ways of scoring tries. They can, like, if all going well, you might see a Wales maul try in the 78th minute because they've broken the Georgians then.
And to be honest with you, in terms of predictions, I think in all likelihood Georgia, based on what we've seen this season, won't be able to cope when Wales have the ball, and actually won't look sharp enough when they have the ball. And that's been the picture against Scotland in both cases. They just haven't been at that tier 1 level. And if that's the crack, Wales will be clinical and will put them together with a bonus point.
But that being said, let's watch scrum time. Scrum time is never more interesting than when the Georgians are involved.
True.
So
listen, I really do rate the Georgians as having a chance to be a very interesting new look team in tier 1. They've suffered for a lot of reasons, obviously, in terms of just not being able to compete at that high level, and they don't look at the level this year. But I would love to be proven wrong, and I would love to see them get up to that level and play at the tier 1 level that they feel they can. Get some plays off, use their physicality, and maybe make it a really sweaty day for Wales.
Potentially, but
probably not.
Probably not. I'm erring on that side. There's more chances. I see more pictures of this being a good, strong Welsh performance to get that bit of momentum going. As we said, momentum is going to be key, and there are teams that are going to lose it outright on the first weekend, and there are teams that are going to pick some up and keep rolling into round 2, and that's what Wales will be looking to do.
Absolutely. There is another game on Tuesday. I'm not sure how soon. We will hope to obviously get some content to you between now and then. But there is some chance that we won't get a chance to shoot until after this game between Russia and Samoa. We just wanted to end before it because that would be Russia's second game. Every game that we've covered so far is an opening game. So you just don't have quite the information on that. Although it would be Samoa's opener, and from then you would be looking to see what we've been talking about: momentum, plays, putting Russia to bed. Very similar story to what Japan want to do.
Definitely,
Although there's more avenue for Russia to make that one scrappy.
Definitely. I think there's just a more looseness to Samoa than Japan coming into this tournament. But it's an interesting fixture. It's one in our pool, so we'll be watching intently, and I expect Samoa to have too much. I expect everyone to have too much for the Russians anyway. But that's going around to round 2. That is round 1.
That is round 1
wrapped up. And there are some just juicy fixtures in it. Obviously, I won't be missing the first one, Japan-Russia, which isn't maybe the best contest, but spectacle, pageantry, opening of the Rugby World Cup. Definitely excited for that.
And then obviously your Saturday triple header is huge. Ireland-Scotland is huge. Those are the 4 games to really, really watch if you can only watch so many this weekend. But it's World Cup time. Just get involved, get into it. We are, as we said at the top of the show, going to be doing our best to put out as much content as possible through these weeks. We are getting started, folks. Here it is. It's the World Cup. Next time we see you on this show, some of the games will have happened.
Will have already happened.
Decisive triple header will have happened, and we will do our best to sort of try and get some live streams going and
for
such
sure,
things going and as the tournament goes on. So listen, thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe, please like, comment, as comment especially we love. And obviously we like to give you a little nudge to subscribe just this week to get us over that 500 mark.
Yes, indeed, we're looking forward to that little threshold. And sure, ring the bell while you're subscribing as well, because we will be trying to up our game. We're going to be kind of releasing more videos, more content for you as the World Cup progresses.
And I think there's some chance that during this tournament some of the shorter vids that we post will actually not be part of the main podcast. So there is a chance that that one or two of them are going to go out that aren't part of the main show. So if you don't want to miss any of our content,
mainly reviews, because we'll probably have just watched the game. We'll try and get our immediate thoughts out to you as more often, as well as some live streams. So if you want to hear any of that or have any suggestions for how we can do that better as well, please, as you say, comment and give some feedback.
Absolutely.
But
listen, guys, this has been fun, and let the Rugby World Cup commence. Let the best team win, and let that team be Ireland.
That's exactly right. Come on, Ireland.
Absolutely.
See you guys.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Alright, you're up.
It's a longer throw, you see.
Yeah, farther back. Oh, no. Just short.
There you go.
Just long.
Man, that's not a good omen.
No, it's not. The line is going wrong.